One Zambia, one nation. Welcome to this presentation of the main news at 18 hours here on ZNBC TV2. Let's look at the stories making the headlines in the news this hour. 6 people have died in a road traffic accident in Kalomo district in the southern province. Convicted former Labour Minister Austin Liato has been discharged from prison on compassionate grounds. President Edgar Lungu says he is passionate about improving the welfare of the youths and women in the country. To present the news at 18 hours, my name is Penifa Nyirenda. 6 people have died in a road traffic accident in Kalomo district, southern province. The accident happened at 23 hours last night when the Noah bus they were traveling in careered off the Zambia Livingston Road as the driver attempted to avoid hitting a cow. The unidentified driver of the Noah bus, registration number ALV 5247, is among the dead, while 6 passengers who are nursing serious injuries have been admitted to the Kalomo District Hospital. Police Deputy Spokesperson Ray Hamonga, who has confirmed the incident to ZNBC News, says the driver of the Noah bus that was carrying 12 people lost control of the vehicle which overturned. In a similar incident, another person has died after the truck he was in careered off the Zambia Livingston Road. The accident happened around 12 hours on Sunday after the driver of the South African-bound Benz truck, registration number ACG 6018, lost control of the vehicle, causing the truck to overturn. The deceased, identified as Pakati Zipelaka, 37, a resident of Lusaka's garden area, suffered serious head injuries and died on the spot, while the driver has sustained a suspected fractured leg. Convicted former Labour Minister Austin Liato has been discharged from prison on compassionate grounds. Mr. Liato has been admitted to the University Teaching Hospital in Lusaka from 17 August 2015 for reasons medical authorities refused to disclose. Zambia Prisons Commissioner General Percy Chato personally delivered the news to Mr. Liato. Commissioner Chato told Mr. Liato that he is now a free man. He said Mr. Liato's discharge is in accordance with the Prisons Act and he is among the 22 inmates under similar condition. And Mr. Liato told ZNBC from his hospital bed that he is humbled by the gesture.
He is amongst the 4 prisoners at Lusaka Central Prison, one female and 3 males. Then we also have from Mumbwa 7, we also have from Kawe Medium 4, then we have from Mbeshi Maximum Security Prison 7. There is a provision in the Prison Act where we have a procedure to assess prisoners who are sick, and if their condition is life-threatening, we do recommend that they be released on compassionate grounds.
His Excellency the President for this decision, very compassionate decision. Yes, I understand. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So was due to finish his prison term in October next year. President Edgar Lungu says he is passionate about improving the welfare of youths and women in the country. President Lungu also says with partnership from banks, he is confident that the vision of the Patriotic Front to improve the welfare of young people through the youth policy will be faster. President Lungu was speaking today when he held talks with founders of Atlas Mara, the owners of Bank ABC. The head of state said he is looking forward to serious partners like Atlas Mara in the creation of jobs and the implementation of the youth policy.
Thank you so much.
We want to hit the ground running in terms of youth projects, actually. It's only this week when I was launching the National Youth Policy, and we are now in the process of implementation. I'm sure I'll find you a very worthy partner in that respect. So feel free to let us know some of your creative ideas on how we can expand the economy and ensure that our youths also take a role, if not a leading role, because they are the majority number. And also our women folk, because they seem to be disadvantaged. I think I'm very passionate about the cause of the youth and the women, and it's something I don't only sing about, but I want to leave a legacy in that respect. So with your partnership, I'm sure my vision could be realized, or our vision as a political party indeed, could be realized faster than we would have thought.
Still with that story, founder and director of Atlas Mara, Bob Diamond, said Atlas Mara wants to partner with Zambia in many areas, especially agriculture and youth empowerment.
Require a bank that operates here in Zambia, Bank ABC. We think of this as a tremendous opportunity for us to be helpful to you in creating jobs and creating economic growth. We think this is an opportunity to help you get lending to consumers and to small businesses. We have a particular interest throughout Atlas Mara in the agricultural sector, for example. We know that's very important to you. OPIC, the Washington-based Development Finance Institute, soon after President Obama was here in Africa, granted us $65 million to invest in our business here, which we'll use to invest in the business and potential acquisitions so that Bank ABC can become even larger and a more important bank. We're already working with farmers, as an example, on the concept of a prepaid card.
And Bank ABC Chief Executive Officer John Vitalo said Zambia stands to benefit from the $65 million funding it received from the US. Cabinet has resolved that the 2016 national budget should focus on the completion of projects in the social sector, such as those in the health and education sectors. This means that concentration in the budget will focus on completion of schools and hospitals and bridges. Cabinet has further resolved to ensure consistency and stability in the tax regime. Chief Government Spokesperson Chishimba Kambwili communicated the resolutions after today's 17th sitting of Cabinet.
Be aware that the 2016, 2017 and 2018 national budgets will be crafted based on this medium expenditure framework. And Cabinet has approved the green paper which was presented by the Minister of Finance to cover the medium-term expenditure framework. For details of what is contained in the medium expenditure framework, the Minister of Finance will publish the entire document in the national newspapers.
And Special Assistant to the President for Press and Public Relations, Amos Chanda, said Cabinet has also approved the construction of 98 silos countrywide. Mr. Chanda said the decision was arrived at in view of the wastage of grain in previous years that has been as a result of unfavorable storage facilities.
Aim at completing the infrastructure projects that are currently underway and only start those that will have immediate impact on the lives of the people, especially in the health, education, and generally in the social sectors. Government will, in the 2016-2018 medium-term expenditure framework, seek to consolidate the fiscal position in order to safeguard macroeconomic stability and create fiscal space vital for public services. Cabinet has also taken a decision that major projects, capital projects, will have to be implemented through PPPs, that's private-public partnership, where a developer comes with their own money, they put money into roads, then they put the toll gates, and this is meant to quicken the implementation of capital projects without putting pressure on the treasury.
Former Kafue Textiles of Zambia KTZ workers have petitioned Lusaka Province Minister Obvious Mwaliteta, demanding that he seeks President Edgar Lungu's intervention over the high offer price for the defunct firm's housing units. The retrenched workers who were offered the houses have complained that they cannot afford the unit price of 75,000 kwacha. The KTZ sitting tenants have since pleaded for President Lungu's intervention to reduce the offer price to affordable figures, as they were only paid 50% of their terminal benefits in 2004. The interest group, among them widows and orphans, who converged at one of their blocks of flats, said they are optimistic that President Lungu will prevail over their matter. And Mr. Waliteta promised to inform the head of state of the former KTZ workers' plight. Just now we take our very first break. We'll be back with more news thereafter. Stay tuned. Thank you for staying with us. We continue with the news. Ministry of Education spokesperson Hilary Chipango says the ministry will engage security agencies to beef up security in schools. This follows the theft of computers from 7 schools in 3 different provinces, including the Core Belt, Lusaka and Livingston. Speaking in a telephone interview with TV2 News, Mr. Chipango said the break-ins are a drawback to government's bid to improve education standards. He says the introduction of information communication technologies, ICTs, in schools is a deliberate move to meet the global standards of education that involves the use of such systems. Meanwhile, Education Permanent Secretary Chishimba Nkosha has urged police to work with schools in safeguarding learning and teaching materials in the wake of a spate of robberies.
Provincial Education Officer this morning is compiling a report to tell us how many items have been stolen in those offices which were broken in 2. It is a serious setback because it's very difficult for us to mobilize resources to buy computers, for example. And some of the computers are actually either donated to us by well-wishers or people who are supporting the education system in this country. Some of them, schools, through their PTAs, mobilize resources to buy computers, and these are the computers which unscrupulous people are stealing.
A female farmer of Kanakantapa area in Chango district will be among dozens of delegates to participate at the forthcoming East and Southern Regional Small-Scale Farmers Symposium. During the symposium, policymakers and the donor community, among others across the region, will discuss issues affecting the small-scale farmers. More on this story in this report.
It is slightly past midday and the sun's glare is at its strongest. Coming out of the cold season, it's a blessing in more ways than one for the 57-year-old farmer. This is the time to prepare for another farming season, and the results of her labor in these faithful fields gave the single mother of 7 an admirable harvest last year. I have learned during my visit here that Veronica Zulu has been using organic fertilizer since the year 2013. She tells me that she has never been disappointed by it.
So I encourage my fellow friends to use manure. Don't depending on fertilizer. Myself, I was struggling, looking for money for buying fertilizer, but when the Peram told me how to use the indigenous seed with manure.
This means of farming is a joy to her work, but something she has heard has been bothering her. A legal framework under the African Region Intellectual Property Organization, recently signed in Tanzania, if implemented by countries in the East and Southern African region, will limit farmers' rights to save, use, replant, improve, or distribute the seeds they have developed over the years. The Participatory Ecological Land Use Management Association Zambian chapter, Secretary General Faustin Vuningoma, believes this will affect small-scale farmers like Veronica negatively.
We know that recently a legal framework that was signed in Tanzania is stopping farmers from producing or reproducing seed in a traditional way. What's your comment about that?
At the beginning, you may think that this is something worth going into, but you are creating monopolies and cartels, which will at the end of the day make it harder for the small-scale farmers to produce. And here we are talking about small-scale farmers who form between 70 to 80% of the entire population. So if we are not there to save the interests of the 70 and 80% of our population, who are we serving?
Asked her how she feels about this.
If somebody came to you to tell you to stop using your traditional means of recycling seeds, to buy new seeds from the supplier every time you wanted to plant, what would you tell them?
I can't agree. I can't agree. I can tell her that me, I do this recycle for many years. My grandmother uses this maize, but now if you recycle your GMO's seed, they don't grow.
Now, the issue of the reproduction of traditional seed and other issues to do with the production of organic fertilizers to help farmers in Africa will be discussed on the 27th of this month. And the main agenda behind this meeting is to see how policymakers and many people, stakeholders, can make an amicable solution that will benefit all. Lopes, TV2 News, Chongwe.
In other news this hour, Chief Chisunka of the Aushi people of Luapula province has appealed to government to consider adjusting upwards the maize purchase limit from 500,000 metric tons. The traditional leader says the maize purchase limit will disadvantage most farmers who have already delivered the maize to various Food Reserve Agency FRA depots. Chief Chisunka was speaking when Foreign Affairs Minister Harry Kalawa called on him at his palace in Mansa district. He said most FRA depots in his chiefdom are overwhelmed with stacks of maize, which are yet to be bought by the FRA. We take another break. When we come back, we'll be giving updates in sports and foreign news. Stay tuned. And now the rest of the news. On the foreign front, the parents of River Steenkamp, killed by Oscar Pistorius, have made their strongest criticism of the verdict in his murder trial. What actually came out in court is not the truth, her father Barry Steenkamp told Australia's Channel 7 TV. Pistorius had been due for early release from prison, but it was blocked by a South African minister last week. The Paralympic star was jailed for 5 years in 2014 for culpable homicide, a charge equivalent to manslaughter. Well, it's about time for sports news, and we'll be joining Chico Mkoka with the details after this short break.
I'm Chico Mkoka with sports news in detail. Zambia's Mupopo Kabange has qualified to the semi-finals of the World Championship that are taking place in Beijing, China, after finishing third. Mupopo, who clocked 51 seconds in the 400 meters race at the championship, will take to the track tomorrow, and coach Douglas Kalembo will now have to plot a winning formula for Mupopo if she has to qualify to the finals. Meanwhile, Zambian Olympic youth gold medalist Sidin Siame will run tomorrow in the 200 meters race. Siame will be seeking to break his personal record should he fail to impress. To football, national team coach George Lwandamina has summoned 13 professionals to face Kenya in the upcoming 2017 Africa Cup of Nations qualifier. Meanwhile, Jacob Mlenga will not be available for the Kenya clash after he excused himself so that he can settle at his new Chinese club, Xiangxiang Yongchan. FAS Communications manager Nkweto Tembwe says Jacob has since informed Lwandamina that he will be available for future national team call-up. And two Lusaka Dynamos players that sustained serious injuries during the Green Buffaloes match at Independence Stadium have been discharged from hospital. Green Buffaloes Football Club chairman Andrew Siame says the two, Jubel Sakala and Bernard Habasokwe, who both sustained head injuries in separate incidents during the match, were admitted to Mainasoko Military Hospital.
Discharged. We did this because football is not war. Football is all about relationship, and we want to build a good relationship with the Lusaka Dynamos. This is why we look at it as the military. So we took it upon ourselves that we can assist in those lines, and we discussed with the chairman, Mr. Kamanga. We told him that no, we would actually take it up so that they are treated at our hospital.
Finally, on this segment, Cabo Warriors coach Muhammad Fati has urged stakeholders to organize tournaments where Super League teams can use to identify talents. Fati says football clubs have many challenges that make it difficult to organize the youths in compounds for the purpose of selecting them in their teams. Hector Simfukwe now reports.
take part in the Sidney Mushanga Sports Tournament that was held at Wintermlayer Stadium in Kabwe. The tournament that started with a match past attracted about 27 football and netball teams from across Bwacha constituency. The tournament was also graced by football and netball coaches from top leagues so that they can identify players from the tournament. And Kabwe Warriors football coach Muhammad Fati said his team will continue giving chance to deserving players from communities within Kabwe.
The Honourables make it very easy for us as a coaches in Kabwe, because for us now, this is middle of the season, our ground is busy. We can't invite the whole talent in Kabwe to come to our ground. We are in the middle of the season. So the Honorable really helped us with this tournament. He invited us also to identify the talent. He is also all his concern about Kabwe, young generation.
After the tournament, each participating team was given 3 footballs jerseys by the Deputy Minister of Education, Sidney Mushanga. On the other hand, the winning team parted away with money and trophies. The Bwacha parliamentarian promised to continue organizing such tournaments in the future.
So I just want to encourage you to continue working hard, we'll continue working together, we'll continue supporting you, and this is just the beginning of more recreational activities to come in Bwacha constituency. I'm already thinking, because my focus is not only soccer or netball, but my focus is all sporting disciplines.
During the same sports tournament, the Deputy Minister distributed bags of meal to freedom fighters. Hector Simfukwe, TV2 News in Kabwe.
Thank you, Hector, for that report. That's all we had for you on this segment. Join us again next week on Monday for more interesting sports stories. I'm Chekom Koka, and I'll leave you with Penfa with the headlines.
Well, this is where we end the news this hour. Just now we recap on the headlines. 6 people have died in a road traffic accident in Kalomo district in the southern province. The accident happened when the Noah bus they were traveling in careened off the Zimba-Livingston road to avoid hitting a cow. Convicted former Labour Minister Austin Liato has been discharged from prison on compassionate grounds. Mr. Liato has been admitted to the University Teaching Hospital in Lusaka from 17 August 2015 for reasons medical authorities refused to disclose. And President Edgar Lungu says he is passionate about improving the welfare of the youth and women in the country. President Lungu also says, with partnership with banks, he is confident that the vision of the Patriotic Front, PF, to improve the welfare of young people through the youth policy will be faster. Well, that's it for the news this hour. Thank you so much for your company. We're back with you for the next news update on this channel at 20 hours. Do join us then. Bye for now.